All right, so if you're building high-risk AI for the EU, you know the AI Act is, well, it's right around the corner. The big question, the one everyone's asking, is how do you actually prove you're compliant? Well, today we're digging into what is essentially the answer key. It's this new draft standard, prEN 18286, and it's basically your blueprint for getting this right. So, picture this. You're building a high-risk AI system. The clock on the AI Act is ticking down, and it's getting loud. How are you going to prove that your system is compliant? Show the regulators that it's safe, that it's reliable, that it's fair. That's the big challenge, right? And that's exactly what we're going to unpack. The easiest way to get your head around all this is to think of it like this. The EU AI Act, that's the what. It tells you what you need to achieve, all the big principles and requirements. But this new standard, prEN 18286, that's the how. It's the practical step-by-step instruction manual that turns all that legal language into something you can actually do. Okay, let's really dive into this blueprint. What is prEN 18286 exactly? And more importantly, why is it about to become, absolutely essential for pretty much anyone working with AI in the EU? So here's the absolute key takeaway. This standard was custom built to tackle one specific part of the law, Article 17 of the AI Act. And if you follow it, you get something called a presumption of conformity. Now, what does that mean? In plain English, it means regulators will look at your setup and basically assume you've done your homework. They'll presume you have a compliant quality management system. That is a huge head start. Okay, so I just mentioned a quality management system, or QMS. What in the world is that? Well, first things first, quality here doesn't just mean your AI is smart or fast. It means it's compliant. The QMS is the whole shebang. It's your entire system of rules, processes, and paperwork that proves your AI meets every single requirement, and, most importantly, that it protects people's health, safety, and their fundamental rights. Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you're building a car. This standard, prEN 8286, is like the factory's master quality control manual. It doesn't tell the engineers how to design the engine or the transmission. Nope. But it lays out all the processes, from the first sketch to testing to how you document everything and even how you'd handle a recall. It's the system that makes sure every single car that rolls off that assembly line is safe and built exactly to spec. So, if this is our master manual, what's actually inside? Let's peel back the cover and look at the core pieces of the QMS that this standard helps you put together. What you'll see is a full life cycle framework. I mean, it covers everything. It starts right at the beginning with risk management and data governance, the foundations. Then it walks you through technical documentation and managing the entire product life cycle. But here's the really crucial part. It doesn't just stop when you launch. It forces you to have processes for ongoing evaluation and what's called post-market monitoring. And for AI that learns and changes, that's absolutely critical. It really is a complete end-to-end approach. So when you put it all together, what does this standard really give you? It gives you the formal structure. It's the systematic processes, the paper trail, the clear roles and responsibilities. Everything you need to prove you have solid AI governance. Think of it as the architectural blueprint for your entire compliance building. But, and this is a really big but, this standard is not a silver bullet. It's essential for sure, but it will not get you 100% of the way to full compliance on its own. It's just as important to understand what this blueprint misses. So let's talk about those gaps. Let's jump back to our car factory for a second. That master quality manual, it's crucial for the overall process, right? But it's not going to have the detailed engineering schematics for the brakes or the specific chemical composition for the airbags. For that stuff, you need separate, super specialized technical standards. And that is exactly how prEN 18286 works. And this is how all those pieces connect. For each of the big requirements in the AI Act, things like risk management, data governance, cybersecurity, prEN 18286 gives you the main framework, the overarching process. But for the nitty-gritty technical details, it points you to other specific standards. So for risk management, you've got to look at prEN 18228. For data quality, you need prEN 18284, and so on. This standard is the hub of the wheel, and all those other standards are the spokes. It brings them all together. It doesn't replace them. And it doesn't stop there. Beyond even those technical standards, there are some pretty big legal obligations from the AI Act that are just completely outside the scope of this particular QMS standard. We're talking about things like the outright bans on certain types of AI,
or the rule that your quality system has to be proportional to your company's size. Not to mention specific transparency rules and the whole new chapter on general-purpose AI models. These are all separate things you've got to handle directly.
Okay, so with all of that in mind, where does that leave us? What's the real takeaway here? Let's put this all together and get crystal clear on the true and very powerful role of prEN 1886. There's a phrase that really just nails it. This standard is the indispensable organizational framework. Think about it like this. It might not be every single brick and window in your compliance house, but it is the foundation and all the structural beams that hold the entire thing up. You take that away, and the whole thing just crumbles. And really, that's the bottom line. Look, prEN 18286 is not the whole story of AI Act compliance. It's not. But it is the framework that holds that entire really complex story together. It's that master blueprint that makes sure all the other pieces, all those technical standards and legal duties, are managed correctly, integrated smoothly, and documented perfectly. And listen, this isn't some far-off, theoretical thing we're talking about. This is happening right now. This draft standard is going up for public comment on October 30th, 2025, and that window closes on January 22nd, 2026. So the time to get ahead of this curve is, well, it's now. Which, of course, brings us to the final and most critical question. The AI Act deadlines are coming up, and they are coming up fast. This standard gives you the clearest roadmap we've seen so far for building the governance you absolutely have to have. So the only question left to ask is your quality system ready?